Hello, Soul Sister. Welcome to another episode of Midlife Love Out Loud. I've got Laurie Gerber in the house. Hey, Laurie.
Hello,
hello. We're new. I just met Laurie very recently. I caught her on this, her awesome Instagram channel doing some amazing stuff on love and dating and how to open authentically to this stage of life. And I was like, can I get her on my podcast? And
Let's
she said,
have a first date. Let's go out. Let's jive.
Ooh, baby. So I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled because you really have the chops. You've got so much information for the soul sister who's really wanting to get some leverage in the dating world. And first, let me just kind of let people know who you are. So Laurie is one of the most engaging and effective life coaches and presenters in the country. I would agree. And after holding several positions at Handel Group over the last 18 years, including president of Handel Group Life, aka HG Life, Laurie is currently licensing the Handel Method and focusing on love coaching. When love is truly treated as a verb, world peace is possible, and she works to prove this theory every day. For those of you that are listening on audio, she's like giving the peace signs and she's just glowing. And if you want to see this amazing woman, go to the YouTube station. Meanwhile, yay, I love that. I love the whole world peace thing because, I'll just say for me, as I was going through my life, I'm like, I want to make a difference. I want to make an impact. I want to bring more peace to the world. And I was just finding lots of different roads to Rome, so to speak. And it's where I landed. I was like, what better vehicle than love? What better vehicle than love? So, well, maybe let's just start there. Love is truly treated as a verb. When love is treated as a verb, how do you see that?
Yeah, love is really the only game in town.
Yeah,
it really is. It's really high leverage activity. So what I found in working with clients over the years is that love was treated as a concept and no two people quite agreed on what it really meant. And people would argue about, do I feel loved? Is this love? What is love? And what I teach is that love is a verb. It's an action. It's a doing, or a way of being and a doing. And the way I define it is when you care about the other person's experience as much as you care about your own. And I very importantly say both, right? Because if you only care about the other person's experience, we call that codependency.
Codependency.
If you only care about your own experience, we call that narcissism. The gamut, right? So it's this delicate balance. And it's obviously love as a verb applies in friendships, in family relationships, in love relationships, and it applies to world peace as well. So I do believe we're all the microcosm. And if we can learn to love ourselves and then love as a verb others, it actually does lead us to inner peace and then world peace.
Yeah. So I agree.
I got a dream, Junie. I got a dream.
I got the same dream. And yeah, how do we do it? That's the question. People are saying, yeah, sure. I would love to connect in that way. What did you say?
Sounds good, Laurie.
Right. Sounds good in concept. And then there's the gamut. There's the how to actually access that love energy, how to find it within ourselves, how to connect with others and be authentic with it. Maybe riff on that a little bit because this is what you do and this is your passion.
Yeah, you're not asking me stumpers. But they're really good. They're really good.
Just wait for it, Laurie. Just wait for it.
I am so excited for whatever you're going to ask me. I really trust it. But so if we're saying love as a verb is caring about one's own experience as much as you care about the others, obviously the place to start is, do I even understand my own experience? Am I even present to what I want, need, desire, feel, think? And shockingly, Junie, people don't do the work to figure that out. They're very busy raising children and having careers and cleaning the house and watching Instagram, doing all the other things. So it's a big revelation to my clients just to sit and go, who am I? I mean, it really is such a cliche, but we don't do it. I was well into my 30s with kids and a husband and a house and all the things before anyone asked me, so what's your dream for your home? What's your dream for your friendships? What's your dream for your body? What's your dream for your health? What's your dream for your family? What's your dream for your money? I had never thought, I had thought about little things in little places, but I never holistically said, who am I? What do I care about? What do I want to experience?
Yeah.
So I would have no way to love as a verb because I wasn't present. I just wasn't even present. So step one is really to start to design your own life, to start to get present to your own heart and head and what you care about. And then step two is quite advanced when you go, okay, now how do I negotiate this with another human?
Yes.
That's a whole other adventure where I have, there's everything from literally praying for it, and using spiritual techniques all the way to literally, I will teach you the steps of a conversation. And if you follow the steps, it's going to go well, period.
Yeah.
You might find out the person's not a match, but the conversation will go well. It will feel good. It will cause intimacy. So depending on which, what advice you think folks will most resonate with, I can go in any of those directions, but I would say start with self and then obviously communication skills.
Absolutely. And there's that thing you were just talking about, which is we weren't taught to ask what's your dreams and what's your passions? And I mean, maybe to some extent, but that's not where we hang our hats in our culture. It's here's the checklist. This is what you're supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to look, how you're supposed to show up. So I think what you're saying is so huge. And we talk about this a lot on this podcast, which is presence and being true to yourself and coming home to your heart. That's a good first step. And I also know that you know a ton about that relational thing, that relational thing about how do you actually engage and make it happen? Because we do talk a lot about presence and being authentic and our conscious yes and our feminine energy and all that stuff. And I think it might be, since you kind of put it out there, this communication thing, questions to ask. Women are going, yeah, I want to date. I want to connect. I know who I am right now, but how do I do that?
Say that is the benefit of dating post 40, 50 years old, is that you really do know better who you are.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're less apologetic about it. And I just want you to know, most people find that very sexy. That's what I have learned on the court. So anybody who's still in that, like, I'm too old BS, it's not true.
Yeah,
it's true. We're all gonna die, and we don't know when. And so people are really looking for fresh, engaging, loving, kind, generous, fun, sexy relationships. And boy, is age not the most important criteria. I just need to get that out there, first of all.
Huge. Yeah.
Huge.
It's another belief system that, a belief that people have taken on that limit them versus let me drop in and enjoy and expand and connect. Yeah.
We are really simpatico. Okay. And then the second thing is, anyone who's still stuck in, well, I've never gotten it right so far, or well, that divorce was such a disaster, or my love of my life died, like whatever that is that might be haunting your future, that really belongs, unless you're in the middle of grieving, in which case you should grieve. But if it's really in the past, it needs to get into the past, right? Because when we're in that new relationship with somebody and we're practicing communicating, if we are projecting our own negative beliefs about ourselves, or negative beliefs about relationships, or negative beliefs about a particular gender, or whatever that is not fair to the other human soul that's sitting across from you. So I do a lot of work with people just to clear the slate, just to clear the emotional and mental slate, so that you can treat each, it would be like, I mean, I don't know about you, but every meal I treat as a new experience. Like, I don't want to go, oh, I know how this tastes. I want to actually taste my new meal. Right? Because I only get a certain number of meals a day, and I want to really enjoy them because I find that very sensually pleasurable. So it's the same thing with dates. And I think, unfortunately, people start to go, oh, I've been on one, I've been on a million, or this is going to be just like last one, or oh, men are all the same, or whatever. And you're not actually enjoying your meal, enjoying this delicious meal. So So those are two kind of precursors, but
Yeah. And I just want to just jump in there and just say, again, I'm hearing presence. If you're on a date and you're talking to somebody and oh, he's just like this and he's just like this, so I better look out for this. And you're not there. You're not there.
Exactly.
And then you're spilling out all the energies and all the baggage that you've carried along, and you have all your exes at the same date. How is that going to go? It's not going to feel good. What did you say?
It's very crowded at the table.
Yes, it's very crowded, and you certainly, need to empty that out for sure. So you were talking about clearing, talking about being able to to know who you are, not project. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
The other benefit of being present is that if they fall in love with you, it's actually you.
Yes, you're being real. You're not trying to be somebody that you're not.
So if we call it the PR agent, the person you send out on dates for
Uh-huh.
you, right?
Yeah,
if you're pretending you like rock and roll, or you're pretending you like skydiving, or you're pretending you like the person, or you're whatever, you just want to make sure who they're falling for is actually you.
Yeah.
Okay. Actual communication skills. All right. So I like to send my daters in with serious nerd files. Okay, I call it nerd love, right?
I love it, nerd love.
It's nerd love, and I am 25 years in with my husband. Actually, we just celebrated our 24th anniversary, but we've been together almost 30 years, and we are still nerding out, geeking out, whatever you want to call it. We are still gaming our relationship to this day, because I'm sorry, it's not so sexy, but boy, does it work, because our sex life keeps getting better, and we've been together that long. So I'm just
let's breathe into that.
And if you're listening to a podcast about relationships, you might be a nerd too. I'm just saying, this might apply to you. Okay, so we call it the 3 H's: the head, the heart, and the HooHa. Right? The Handel Method has coined the head, the heart, and the HooHa as the 3 H's. Those are the constituents who are voting.
You're hysterical.
It's Lauren Handel Zander. I didn't make it up, but I do like it, and it does work. So most people sell out on one or more of those, right? They get someone who's real practical and who they really trust, but they're not turned on, or they're really turned on, so they don't care that the person wants something totally different than they do, or they're really turned on and the person looks good on paper, but they don't trust the person. So, I listen to this literally every day from my clients, like, but Laurie, they understand my culture, or Laurie, they're so smart, or Laurie, oh, but I feel so good when I'm with them, but Laurie, maybe one day your kids will grow up eventually. It's like, so you're telling me why you want to settle. Okay. I get it. You don't think you can have it all. I get it. You never did before, which is where I just go, please understand that just because you didn't before does not mean you're not gonna. Anything impressive happens after you didn't before that, right? 6-minute mile, never done. Then 6-minute mile, done.
Wow.
Right? Like anything we're impressed by is impressive because we didn't do it before. So it's really okay. You can actually even go, oh, wow, all my failures are my learning. I am poised for success because look at my file of failures. Yeah. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
So what are your 3 H criteria? What are the deal breakers? So I want everybody to think about each area: head, heart, and HooHa. Head is what's practical. So where they live, if they're still at home raising kids or not. Can they travel? When do they want to retire? Are their finances compatible with yours? Are their politics compatible with yours? Do they like to eat where you like to eat? Do they want to text all day or not? That's all practical. Heart is how it feels. Do they love what you love? Are they rooting for your dreams? Do you trust them? Would you let them meet your kid? Would you leave your dog with them? A sense of humor, music, anything that has to do with your heart and what makes you feel good. And HooHa is, are you turned on? Do you want to kiss them? Is there chemistry? Okay. These are individual to everyone. So the dating game is just, do we match? It's not, am I good enough? It's just, do we match on head? Heart,
do we match? Not if I am good enough. Let's underline that.
Did anyone have a misunderstanding about that? I can't imagine, especially women. We always think we're good
right.
enough,
Well, we always think that we're always good enough, right? Yeah.
Of course. We have such high self-esteem. Okay. So So I ask you to think about those criteria, and it's a little tricky. I could do a whole other podcast just on the tricks the brain will play. Like, for example, I thought I had to marry a Jewish guy. It was not true. It was absolutely not true. When my coach asked me, why do you say that? I said, oh, because I want my kids to celebrate the same holidays and have the same traditions I had. And she said, well, you don't need to marry a Jewish guy for that. And I was like, oh, you're right. I ended up marrying the son of a Presbyterian minister. He
Wow.
converted. I did not ask him to convert, but he did. And he had celebrated Passover as a child because that's the kind of church he was in.
Wow.
Right? Who knew that existed? Right? If I had
Yeah.
been no non-Jews, I would have never met
Love
the
it.
love of my life. Okay.
Love
So
it.
don't believe your first list. Okay. Really drill down and go, what's real? And to me, it was, I need to live in New York City. We need to support each other's dreams and have similar values. And I got to be able to raise my kids Jewish, and he's got to want kids. Right. So it just was, and obviously that's a 20 to 30-year-old dream. Your midlife dream would be quite different in practical purposes. I recommend compatible politics, compatible travel ideas, compatible dreams, compatible time available, compatible family situations. That's that would be my little like cheat sheet for you.
Yes.
Okay. Heart. I think I spoke a little bit about heart. Again, it's how you want to feel. So drill that down. And then HooHa could be anything for anyone, but it includes not just, again, I thought I needed blue eyes. Like, please, no, you do not. In fact, all the studies show all those things that we think turn us on are not what leads to a successful relationship.
Yeah.
That being said, you do need to have the desire to kiss the person. It could be their swagger. It could be their twinkle. It could be their outfit. It could be their body. It could be their eyes. It could be their mouth. It could be their all over their look is your type. It could be how they talk to you. I don't care what turns you on. That's HooHa. But you need to be turned on. And if kissing them and 3 dates with them does not make
if you're not going HooHa, then something's missing.
it's just not your person. It's like I always liken it. I know it's so cheesy to liken it to going shopping, but when you go shopping, like you enter Bloomingdale's or Macy's or whatever, and you look around, of course you're not going to be turned on by all the dresses.
Yeah.
You're going to pick 10 you are turned on by. And then when you try them on, only half or a third of them are going to feel good, look good, be the right price, all of that. And there's no offense to the dresses that go back on the rack. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just not your dress. Yeah. Right. So it is such a beautiful and sacred ritual to try on the dresses, but it is not personal when it's not a match. Okay,
when it's not a match, when it's not important. A fit. Exactly. Yeah. So,
but all of this to say, what do you talk about on the first dates? And we have the art of the 3 dates because we believe 3 dates is enough to figure out if it's a yes or a no. And we come up with questions for each of the criteria. So there's obvious questions like,
love it.
Who'd you vote for? How old are you? How old
date over.
Right. I would do that on a FaceTime. Right. Like,
I was just gonna say, if you're on the first date and you haven't addressed some of those biggies in the room, waste of time. But yes, continue on.
Truly. Yeah. And we need to be efficient so we don't get fatigued. Okay. So, but then it starts to get interesting where you come up with fun questions to ask that they've not been asked before, that get at what you're trying to get at. Like, what do your siblings like most about you? Or what do you like most about your siblings? Or what's the best Sunday you ever had? So when you ask a question that is not a typical question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Boring. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Boring. When you ask a trick question, you make a person come alive, right? They have to be present because they have to think of an answer.
Yes.
And then you get something interesting, right? Or my friend was just sharing that she met a guy for a first date and she found a deck of cards and they just started to play war. Like this, and she thought, like, oh my gosh,
of all games,
playing a card game with someone, but she learned so much about him.
Yes.
First of all, because it was something to do with your hand, so you're not just like, oh my God, we're having a date in a situation, but also just observing someone in a situation they didn't think they were going to be in, that they have to suddenly be in, is very interesting. It gets our neural pathways moving in different directions, which makes it fun and interesting and a little scary, and then therefore pride inducing. So I really really ask my daters to come up with interesting questions that get at every one of their criteria. And I spend a lot of time arming you with that. So you're never
So
going to go
smart.
into a date with nothing to say. You're never going to go into a date bored or boring. And you're most likely going to generate the most refreshing conversation that person has ever had. And the worst that can happen is you had an interesting conversation. And of
Love
course,
it.
you have to answer the same questions, right? So
That's so funny you should
You're
say that,
right.
because I know I've asked some questions to some people in life, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to. Do I know the answer to my? Because I'm like, oh, I don't know. Oh yes, like, well, and then of course, what happens? Organically, I need to drop in and go, what is the answer? Which again allows for something really unique to show up and not just be the regular jibber jabber. Yeah.
it's so refreshing. So
Ah,
and that, I mean,
so good.
that does not speak to when you have a conflict or concern, but that's like the basics of communication on the first couple of dates. You're bantering, you're asking, you're learning, you're trying to.
All right. I want to know. I want to go to the HooHa.
Let's talk about
Because
it.
let's let you know, hey, it's my favorite topic. Okay, so HooHa. How, do you have any particular questions that would be kind of good for those first few dates when
Yeah.
people, especially women, are like a little bit, they're, I don't want it to be just about sex. I'm not ready.
Right.
I don't trust. I'm not, what might you suggest around
Again,
that?
The first most obvious thing I suggest is have a little bit of texting banter first, but get it to a FaceTime.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you get a FaceTime, you find out if they're serious. You find out what they lied about on their profiles. You find out if you connect and banter well. And you find out if they're trying to get you in bed. You really do. Because if they're just trying to get you in bed, they likely won't do a FaceTime. And they won't be gentlemanly on this. They'll be trying to like tilt
Push. Yeah, keep moving it over. Keep
the
moving it over.
camera.
Yes, right.
So we're asking you to tilt the camera, right? So
yes. What's it on the floor?
It's a really good weeder outer that is so indirect, right? You're not saying, I want to find out if you're a pervert or I want to find out what you're really after. You're just asking for a FaceTime to see if we have chemistry.
And you're noticing how they're showing up, their body language, what they're saying, how they're doing it. Yep.
Exactly. So that's the first obvious thing. And then, the thing, I think that really eliminates most people, but obviously you're going to have your first date in a public place. I hope that's obvious. I would even say don't have any dates that are not in a public place unless you are wanting to have sex. Like just, that's a great, easy boundary, way to protect yourself, way to keep yourself safe and start to understand someone's intentions. The kinds of questions I ask people to ask to figure out if the HooHa is good is first a question to yourself. Do I want to kiss this person? Can I imagine wanting to kiss this person? That does not mean you need to kiss the person. I'm just asking your HooHa if it's interested. And it really has an honest answer. It really does. So that's the first question one needs to ask. And if the answer is no, again, you have 3 dates to get that rating up or get that heat up. You could try kissing in a public place to get it up. But if all of those efforts have been made, you just have to call it.
Yeah.
Maybe that person's going to be your accountant, or maybe that person's going to be your friend, or maybe that person's going to introduce you to your person, or you're going to introduce your sister to that person, or they're going to do business with you. Like you have no idea who that person might be, but they are not your lover. So you let them go. You don't do 7 dates and then let them go. You do 3 dates and then lovingly send them on their way for better pastures.
Yeah.
But questions that I think you're allowed to ask other people are, I think you have to, it depends on how comfortable you are. Some people would say, got any fetishes? Or, what are you into in bed early? And some people really wouldn't feel comfortable with that. So, but you certainly want to ask, what kind of relationship are you looking for? Casual, like I say, fling a real thing. And that's another way to just, and if you can ask that well, if you can go like, hey, no judgment, just curious, everyone's up to different stuff. Yeah. I'm cool with whatever your answer is, but what are you looking for? Are you flinging or are you real thing looking?
Love it.
Right.
Yeah, we need to take that temperature check. Otherwise, we're really going to be wasting a lot of time or thinking something that may or may not be happening. And it's like, what? Huh? How did I not know that? Why would you know that if you didn't ask?
And I'm telling you, I coach thousands of people. No one thinks they owe you that answer unless you ask.
Yes.
And even sometimes when you ask, they don't think they owe you that answer. So you better darn well ask.
Yeah.
And be ready for your honest answer too. You might surprise yourself. You might think you're looking for a real thing, but you're actually fine to fling with that person.
Yeah.
For 6 months or 3 months.
Yeah.
And so what's the harm? Right? We're grown women. Like
that you're bringing back a memory. There was this guy years ago that I met online, and he got off the train, and I was like, oh my, HooHa was singing, but not the brain and not the heart. And I was like,
right.
All right, let me have some fun. And I had a lot of fun.
If it's consensual and everyone knows what they're doing, why? Of course, we want to learn from each other and with each other.
Yeah.
It's very outdated to think that's cheap or useless or wrong, right?
Yeah.
So I just really encourage folks to keep asking that question, right? Just
So
because
good.
you've been saying real thing all this time, don't mean you don't need a little fling break.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yep. Follow what works for you. And these are such great tips. One last quick question, and maybe a quick question. I know you know a lot about the apps, a lot of different platforms for people to meet. And it's like the biggest question people say is, where should I go? Which one should I be on? I have my version of it. I'm curious what your
No, I don't. It's so
senses.
funny. I literally just interviewed people about this, and I'm actually gonna do an Instagram live about it because
Cool.
I'm curious what the young people are saying. I'm just curious. And I don't think there's I really don't think there's the right answer. It's like saying, where should I go shopping for a dress? Like,
so true.
I don't know. Are you
There's people everywhere, right? There's dresses everywhere. Yeah.
Are you Filing's basement? I don't know. And I think it's such a I actually said this to my social media person because she was asking me to like come out with the answer. And I was like, wrong question. Come on.
Nice.
Like, I swear to God, it's not the store. That's the problem. Like, it's not.
Thank you for that. So true, because people can just go, well, that platform sucked and that platform sucked. It all sucks. But what's the common denominator? What do they bring into the table?
It really is like insulting the store when you haven't been to look at all the dresses and you have a terrible attitude, right? It's like,
oh, that's great. That's great. You haven't, I love that metaphor. You haven't looked at all the dresses, so you judge the store. That's great.
It's a cop-out. It's an excuse. Well, the bottom line, if you're like knee deep in, like, if I only had the right site, then I'm sure you're wrong. It's such a and I'm not saying it isn't fun to try new sites because and in fact, I'm about to start promoting a site that Handel Group founder Lauren Handel Zander created called Levette, which is, it's profound. You have to make videos. You have to tell the truth about yourself. It's all people interested in personal growth. It's amazing.
Oh, sign me up.
Yeah, Levette. It's amazing. It is. And please watch on Instagram because I will promote a free month.
Cool. Because I'm about to start dating very soon. And that sounds great.
So like, do I have a favorite? Yes. But if you're not into personal growth, you will not enjoy Levette. That would not.
No, that's so important. Yeah. Oh, so good. So you're mentioning Instagram. Where can people find you and continue to learn from you and all that jazz?
Instagram is a fun place. I do put a dating tip up every Friday, Saturday, and then I'm talking about sex on Saturday, Sunday, and I'm talking about parenting on I'm talking about all my favorite topics on Instagram. Laurie Gerber _coach, LAURIEGERBER_coach. And then I have a newsletter, but that is free. That is also chock full of very actionable stuff, and LaurieGerber.com. So, and LaurieGerber.com has all the archives. So if you want to learn about any of these topics, it is chock full of everything.
So good. So good. Free, filled with information. Like I said, I've watched you. I will make sure that those links are in the notes. So sister, if you want to find her, and I highly encourage you to stay awake and listen up to all these golden nuggets, that's where you're going to find her. Oh my God. Thank you for your time, Laurie. I know you are busy making love a verb to bring world peace.
It's a big job, Judy.
But somebody's gotta do it, you know?
Big job, and we are nowhere near done.
Oh, so good, sister. Thank you so much. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube and listening on Apple, please like the show. Please subscribe to the show. It's how we spread the message to other soul sisters that are wanting extraordinary love lives in the second half of their life. And if you really got some good mojo from this and some good tips, and I'm sure you did, think about a soul sister that might need to know this as well. So until we meet again, mwah.